Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. My pastor today, he said something during the message that was really, it kind of resonated with a lot of what I've been seeing, a lot of what God has been speaking to myself and my wife. And it was this, he said, the spirit of Babylon will always utilize fear. And the spirit of Babylon, I mean, that's basically Satan. That's the spirit of Antichrist. Always uses fear to accomplish its objective, what it sets out to do. And one of the things you can clearly see, I mean, it's obvious over the past couple of years with how COVID and the riots and a lot of what has happened just over the 2 years, it's all been about that. Now, we come to what happened this past week in Texas, and you know, I anytime an event like what occurred there and what's occurred at places like Sandy Hook or in Boston and different places that has had a mass shooting casualty event occur. I always look at those and there's just so many questions about those events, and I know several truthers in the community will say that the entire thing was a false flag, and I can't say that because I honestly don't know. I've seen enough videos on SRA, which, if you don't know what SRA is, it's satanic ritual abuse, where people are targeted, people are basically brainwashed or MK Ultra'd into doing things that you wouldn't normally think that a normal person would do. And there was an interview. Gosh, I can't remember the guy's name, but I'll try to remember to post a link below. I just actually went back and watched it shortly after hearing about what happened in Texas, and the guy basically said that there would be a day that would come where these people that had been trained and had been brainwashed to this point it's basically like their black day, their day of death, or their ushering in of an actual physical Antichrist. And he said until that day comes, you would see these people that have been programmed to do things. You'd see them pop up every so often, and they would go and do basically what happened in Texas. That's what you would see, and it's all meant to inspire fear and terror in the minds of people. So the thing is, you got these people that they've created a problem, and the solutions that they're offering are they range from having kids basically locked down in a prison environment, turning the schools into a prison where no one gets in, no one gets out. The kids are basically under they're in a prison. And you've got the people that are saying, take away all the guns, ban them, get rid of them. No one should have guns, that kind of thing. So I think both arguments, both are meant to get us to a point where you do have stricter gun laws, you do have stricter regulations, whatever, where it's much more difficult for someone in the public to have an armed weapon. But at the same time, you end up with school children that grow up in an environment where all they know is just complete control by an authoritarian rule. I don't know how else to say it, but they would go into school. They'll be under lock and key for the entire day, and then they would go home at the end of the day. Think about it. A whole generation of kids will grow up under that. You see what COVID did to kids now, the past 2 years, how depression, how the suicide rates are up. I mean, it just socially isolating people. All of that is just, it's off the charts. And we want to do that now. So I try to think like a long con out of it. Like, what's the long con here? What's the long play? And I think you would get a society of people that would be coming up through this system, and they would get to a point where they hate it. They just despise being in this system, and they would do anything to be able to get out of it, to have their freedom, quote unquote, back. And one of the things that I think they would do is ultimately, you got to think about what history is being taught right now anyway in schools. I mean, they're not teaching what they taught me and others out there, older people. They're not teaching the same thing. They're rewriting history. You've got so many different elements of Marxism, communism, all that stuff is just infiltrating the schools. It's infiltrating your history books. It's infiltrating the science books. It's all there. But what's happening, what would happen is, well, we have to do it this way because your parents wouldn't give up their guns. Your parents wouldn't, we had to go this route because there were people fighting against giving up weapons and giving up guns. I think that group of people, that group of kids, it's going to be that much harder. Like, they would give them over in a heartbeat just to have some semblance of normalcy for their kids. Do you see what I'm saying? That when they come out of that system where they've grown up in a prison, they've gone to school for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years. If you think about a kid in kindergarten going all the way through. And then you've got the same thing happening at college campuses. You've got the same thing happening there. What was it? Was it West Virginia or Virginia or wherever? The same thing. So it's happening there. And then it's happening in churches. It's happening. So you've got a group of people, a generation, if you will, of kids that grow up in this, and they're gonna turn over those guns. Just, you know what? I don't want my kids to grow up in this. I don't want. And they don't understand the history. They don't understand. So when it comes down to it, they're done. They'll hand them over, and at that point, there's no fight back. There's no way you come back from that. Once you give over the guns, you look at Australia, you look at places where they've turned over the guns. They're completely at the mercy of the ruling class, the elites, and that's scary. But that's where we're headed. I think that's the long play. I think that's the long con. That's where we're going to end up in the not too distant future, and it's terrifying. But you hear those people say, never let a good crisis go to waste. And I think that's what's happening. They're going to get something out of this. They're going to get, tighter school security. You won't be able to just show up and see your kid, which you already can't. I mean, they stopped doing that with COVID. They literally would not let us go sit in a classroom or go eat lunch with our kid. That could not happen because, you might spread COVID. That's where we were already at. Now you add this added layer of security for the well-being of our kids, and guess what? It's that much more isolated. You're that much more cut off from everyone. It's frustrating, guys, and I know it's not going to get any better. The Bible tells us it's not going to get any better. So, anyway, guys, I hope everyone's doing well, and again, just be praying. Like, we really need to be praying right now. Prayed up, just every single day. It needs to be a daily prayer for God's will to be done in this, because you can't stop certain things from happening, but you can slow it down. You can definitely slow it down. So anyway, guys, take care. God bless. We'll be talking to you later.